People come from all walks of life. They all have lives they lead. Any and all are welcome here to come and chat with me.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Today's guest is very much part of the show. She is the director as well as the editor. She had to take some time off due to health reasons, and she's here to talk about those reasons. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Coralee Holmes. Hi, Coralee.
Hi, Nancy. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. And how are you doing?
Good. Yeah, good. I had my surgery about 3 weeks ago and I'm feeling much better.
Okay, before we get to the diagnosis, I want to know what was happening to you that made you go to the doctor to begin with.
I was basically really tired. And I understand now I probably worded it wrong to my doctor, because when I told her I was tired, her response was, well, everyone's tired. What? So, and tired can be a lot of things, right?
Yes.
Tired can be a symptom of diabetes. It can be a symptom of depression. It can be a symptom of a lot of things. My doctor did do some blood tests, and she noticed that my calcium levels were a little bit high, nothing really out of the norm, but she thought, oh, so she sent me for an ultrasound of my kidney, and that came back with something a little bit abnormal. And all this is taking time, right? It's taking months and months. And I'm getting worse and worse. I'm getting more and more exhausted. I wake up exhausted. I've got muscle cramps now that don't just come randomly and all the time. I ache. Like, I used to tell people, it's like I felt like I was 98. I'd get off the couch and I'd have to stop for a minute and let everything kind of catch up. It was, yeah. And I noticed problems with my memory. Things like where Vetter Road was. I mean, Vetter's a main road I drive every day. And I would have moments where I couldn't remember where Vetter Road was. Or I would not be able to remember names of things that I've known for years. That kind of stuff started to, and my family has a history of depression, and I watched my mom go through something very similar when she was in her late 40s, early 50s.
Okay.
And she ended up getting surgery, but not till she was in her 60s. So yeah, eventually I went to the doctor and I said, I think there's something seriously wrong. She did some more blood tests and she sent me to a kidney specialist. And I saw the kidney specialist and she ran a bunch more tests. And by this time I figured I probably had what my mom had, which caused her to have memory issues, caused her to be tired. And I remember her going to the doctors and then sending her to psychiatrists to be treated for depression. And I remember my mom being on medication after medication after medication to treat her depression. And it wasn't actually depression. It was what I had as well. So I started to get scared because I'd seen how my mom was treated. I saw that doctors didn't believe her or that they thought it was something that it wasn't. So I started to get scared. I went to my doctor again and I explained my fears to her and what I thought it was. She told me that the kidney doctor thought that's what it was too. But that she had already started the process and the kidney specialist, would then refer me to the next specialist. So I left very frustrated because here I knew what it was and my doctor was telling me just to wait for follow-up with the kidney doctor, which was supposed to be in the next 2 months. 2 months pass, no call from the kidney doctor because of course I'm not urgent on their list. I don't have kidney problems. So I go back to my doctor and I'm crying at this time and frustrated because I'm not getting anywhere. And I know the next thing is, Coralee, you need to be on psych meds, which is exactly what came out of her mouth. Because I was so tired. I had taken myself off of my medication because that part of the side effects of my medication was to make me tired. So I thought that was part of it. So I had been off my medication probably for a year.
Okay, now people don't know what that medication was for.
Right. So about 7 years ago, I was diagnosed bipolar and I struggled with mood pretty much my whole life. I can remember driving and there was a rock that we used to call Suicide Rock in the middle of the highway, and because that's how people chose to killed themselves. And I can remember driving by when my mood was really low and just thinking I could do it. But what stopped me was, what if I didn't do it right? And I just crippled myself.
Right.
So, you know, I lived with that my whole life. They finally decided I was bipolar about 7 years ago. Started on medication. It was amazing. Changed my life. And I swore at that time I'd never go off my medication. And so here I was coming off my medication because I couldn't cope with how tired I was.
Right.
And I had a bunch of stuff going on at work as well. I had a lot of stress.
Yeah.
And so then I went to the doctor, told her I was off my meds and that we need to get this dealt with because I need to go back on my medication. And her response to me was, Coralee, your psych meds are really, really important. You need to be on them. And I didn't hear anything from her lips that told me that this thyroid issue was going to be dealt with. So I left her office really frustrated. I got a call from the kidney specialist, I think the next day, and they apologized profusely for overlooking me. I'd been missed on their list for follow-up. Mm-hmm. Saw her, and she told me that my GP had forwarded a referral to a specialist in thyroid conditions.
Okay.
But the specialist that my doctor told the kidney specialist she'd forwarded to was not actually going to take me on because he was really busy. So I had phoned my doctor's office prior to my kidney doctor's appointment and got the name of the specialist I was going to see. So I passed that on. It just was a big communications schmoz.
Right.
And it just proved to me how important it is for you to take charge of your own health. Because the doctors weren't suffering. I was the one that was suffering. The doctors didn't believe me when I told them I was really exhausted all the time, that I had muscle cramps all the time, because they couldn't feel it.
Right.
So they relied solely on blood tests and what the lab numbers told them, what the visual things told them. And I felt so completely ignored.
Right.
It was so frustrating. It was so frustrating. So eventually I got to the correct specialist. And COVID had happened by this time. And I thought, oh, shit, now I won't get anything done because we'll have to be in lockdown for COVID forever. And he called me. We had a phone call. And he right away tells me, by your lab work, I don't see any high calcium. I don't think it's this thing that you think you have. I'm like, fine, send me for more blood work. Like, I was so frustrated. I didn't know what to do at this point.
Yeah.
So I knew they were looking at calcium levels, and I don't drink milk. I don't eat a lot of calcium other than a few yogurts once in a while. So I started taking a calcium vitamin D supplement. And yeah, he took my calcium levels, and lo and behold, they proved what I was telling him, that my calcium levels were through the roof, which was their definitive test, I guess, for this hyperparathyroidism.
So that's it. Say that again, what you were finally diagnosed with.
With hyperparathyroidism.
Okay.
Which isn't common, and quite often it comes with a series of other tumors in other areas of your body. But my family history, I followed my mom completely. We had the same, almost exact same, you have 4 parathyroid glands that surround your thyroid.
Okay.
And they're about the size of your little baby fingernail. And my anterior left parathyroid, I think it was the anterior, maybe it was the inferior, the one behind, was basically 2.5 times the size it should be.
Okay.
So, but even after I got the diagnosis, it still took 6 to 8 months to get in to see the surgeon and get all that stuff going. But.
Right. So there's all that time prior to the diagnosis, right? You get diagnosed. Now another 6 whatever months it is before you actually go and get surgery.
Yeah.
And all that, you're trying to work, right? You're still working.
Yeah.
Right? But you had to leave the show because it was just too much.
I lost film and I couldn't believe it. I searched my computer, and that's when I had to confess to you that I was actually really sick, because it was hard for people to see this illness. It wasn't anything, and that's why I think the doctors had trouble believing me when I was telling them what I was having.
Sure.
because the memory loss, all that stuff can be symptoms of so many other things too, right?
Okay.
Like depression.
Right. Okay. So now you finally had your surgery.
Yeah.
Right. And that went well. I assume it went really well.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And you had to, now you have a scar.
Yes.
They removed the lump or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where
Okay.
they removed the gland.
The gland.
So,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
And it's not a really complicated surgery. It takes about an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But this is not where your thyroid is. Your thyroid's down here a bit. So they have to go in this way because this, of course, is your chest bone, your cavity.
Okay.
So they can't operate between bones or through bones. So they have to come in from the top and kind of go down.
Okay. So how long ago did you have the surgery?
3 weeks ago. Three
No.
and a half weeks ago.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. And how are you feeling since the surgery?
The very next day, I woke up with no aches and pains.
Oh.
I felt like $1,000,000. I slept and woke up feeling like I'd rested.
Mm-hmm.
I had a ton of energy, and it was so weird because you just had surgery, so you're supposed to stay, calm and rest and do all these things. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to do so much because I feel good. And it was the next day. As soon as it was out,
Wow.
the change was immediate.
What about the memory? Did that come back as fast or did it take a little bit longer?
It probably took a few days because calcium levels are a little bit out of whack after surgery. They're a little low, but I think I don't know if there's any permanent damage to the memory, but I certainly feel like I can think clearer and keep track of things a little bit better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good though. Now, well, I'm looking forward to you coming back to the show. Hopefully it'll be soon, but we don't want to, it's like, I certainly don't want to rush you, right? I want to make sure that you're 100% where you want to be in your, when you're ready to say, yes, I'm ready to come back. It's like, yeah, let's do this. Okay. But anyway, once again, remind everybody the importance of, like when you have an issue, going to the doctor.
Listen to your body. And if your doctor's not listening to you, try to find a different way to present your symptoms. It can be in writing. You can suggest things to test. You might have to go to a different doctor.
Right.
I've restarted my psychiatric medication 3 weeks ago. And I'm noticing already that it's helping, and I'm almost back to my normal,
Yeah.
which is good. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to tell everybody, like her normal is kind of quirky, which I love. Okay, it isn't kind of quirky. It is. That's why we get along. Okay, so that's really good, Coralee. Thanks for sharing all of that. I think it's important for people, maybe somebody who has those same symptoms and don't know what it is, and they've been to their doctor and getting the same feedback that you were getting, right? So hopefully this will help somebody in that regard, but also to remind people, I agree with you, like listen to your own body, right? So that's really good. So
And help yourself too. Like while I was waiting for these doctors to come up with the diagnosis that I already knew I had, I tried to change some of my eating habits. I added some multivitamins and some vitamin D because these were all depleted from what I was reading. These are the things that were depleted in my body, which was part of what was causing the fatigue and all the rest of that. So I made sure that I took a multivitamin. I made sure that I added magnesium to my diet. I tried to eat more green leafy vegetables, which are good for everybody.
yeah. Nothing hurt.
But so it's part of it is helping the doctors as well. You need to look after yourself. You need to research and figure out what makes you feel better. I felt better when I started taking the multivitamin and the magnesium because it did help with some of the symptoms that I was having. I don't need those things now. I mean, I took the multivitamin for the first week and a half to help this heal.
Right.
But my diet is pretty good. I don't need to have the supplement all the time. But you need to help yourself as well as helping your doctors to get to a diagnosis that you need. And it's frustrating if your doctor is not hearing what you're saying. It can be really, really frustrating, but don't give up. Yeah. Keep trying, because when you give up, that's when they can't help you anymore.
Yeah, very good. Okay, well, just stay there while I say goodbye to the audience, okay? And everybody, thanks again for watching. I hope that you were able to learn something from Coralee's message. And you know the deal, stay safe, and hope to see you next time. Until then, peace out.
A sense of community, Chilliwack's a place to be. A sense of community where you're free. Rolling through the mountains, rolling through the valley, rolling through paradise with me. It's multicultural, you're sure to see it all. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see. Come party in the park, go dancing after dark. Chilliwack's a place to be, you'll see.